Let's think about the facts here. Under both the Democrats and the Republicans, they're going to have the exact same enemies. They're going to cause all of the exact same pain around the world. At least they have the ambitions on doing that. I'll expand on that in a moment. But under the Democrats, they might institute like certain policies that might help one or two Americans to better their lives. Like, they might do some student loan forgiveness or increase welfare by 5%. I'm against that. I think that it's not fair that Americans live even slightly better than people in the victims of their imperialism while doing nothing about said imperialism. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree with Americans being given even like a crumb from the state. I think at least like if Americans are going to ensure that the targets of their imperialism are stuck in poverty and unable to progress as much as they do, then at least Americans should feel that same thing. And I think Trump is going to be horrible domestically because he's going to fuck up the economy. He's going to like remove state benefits from Americans. He's going to like inadvertently, even going to like do shit like hurt veterans and the benefits that they get. At least there's a modicum of justice in America, the majority of Americans who can see a genocide happening being carried out by their governments, and they just shrug and go and vote and do nothing else. Another thing is that on one side, you have Kamala Harris, who is a cynical geopolitical operator in the vein of Hillary Clinton, who's going to surround herself with all the worst of the neocons, all the worst of the liberal imperialists from the Bush and the Obama administration and the Reagan administration even, though those people are like 80 years old now. She is far more likely to implement a competent foreign policy that achieves American geopolitical aims than Trump is. Trump does absurdly dumb shit all the time. Like, Trump torpedoed the US as an international power to a significant degree by starting a trade war with China, for example. That is like incredibly self-destructive for the US to do, but Trump did it because he's just an ideological dumbass who does really dumb things. You can't imagine like a democratic government doing that. They're too smart to do that. They know that they have to balance their antagonism. They can't just go all in like that because they're going to lose out. Trump is capable of inadvertently hurting American power abroad, whereas the Harris administration is going to be all of the most competent and disgusting Kissingerite sorts in the world all together in one place. The more incredibly dumb things that an American president does on the geopolitical stage, the better it is for everyone else. The problem, like the biggest issue, is America acting competently and rationally for its own interests. When it just does insanely dumb shit, that shit is more likely to fail and hurt American power in the long term. And I just want to clarify something. This is not accelerationism. It's not accelerationism at all. What am I accelerating here exactly? Accelerationism would be like, I want this person to win the election and institute like fascism right now, because afterwards, when that collapses, I think we could do a revolution or something. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that outright, these people like to talk about harm reduction, so I'm going to use their terminology. Trump would cause less harm on the international stage purely by virtue of incompetence, purely by virtue of making incredibly dumb strategic decisions for the USA. There's nothing accelerationist about that. Like the insane stuff that Trump maybe wants to do, if he tried to do it, it would mean the complete collapse of the American empire. I think what a lot of people don't understand about Trump is that he's an incredibly dumb guy who believes whatever the last person that he spoke to who was sufficiently nice to him told him. This is how Trump ended up doing shit like going to fucking North Korea. Like if someone sat down with Trump and told him to end the Cuban blockade while complimenting him on his great business acumen at the same time, he would probably do it the next day. He doesn't have an ideology. He is a right-winger, of course, but he doesn't have like a set-in-stone ideology like these democratic imperialists do. That's how he ended up doing absurd shit, like literally going to North Korea and talking directly to the North Korean leadership himself. You could never imagine an American president doing that. Least of all, like a Republican American president. Trump did that. Like ideological Clintonite, Kissingerite foreign policy experts are way more dangerous for the world than a massive dumbass who is going to surround himself with other massive dumbasses because he's in his last administration, he alienated himself from all of those people who are now aligned with the Democrats. Like fucking Dick Cheney. Even if Trump will say that he wants to do worse, even if he does want to do worse, he is far too dumb to be able to do so. And many other things that he wants to do or says that he wants to do would be objectively bad for the American empire and its continued prominence all around the world. Like these people try to present Kamala Harris as like the lesser evil to Trump, even on Gaza, supposedly because she says nice things about Gaza while her and her administration are funding the war. 70% of the funding from the war is coming from the US. They're also directly involved in it. They are running reconnaissance missions. 80% of the targets that are called out to the Israeli military come from UK or US spy planes. When Israel bombs a child in Gaza, there is an 80% chance that either an American or a British plane called out that target for them. That's what she is doing right now. But these people do not look at actions, they look at words. So Trump says, I'll let them finish the job in Gaza. And Kamala Harris says, I support a ceasefire, too many people are suffering. When she is finishing the job in Gaza, her actions constitute finishing the job in Gaza. They consider platitudes more important than material facts. For Trump to finish the job in Gaza, all that he would have to do is continue the policy of the present administration. Israel received authorization from Biden-Harris to start constructing concentration camps in Gaza. They called them gated communities, policed by former American soldier PMCs. They're going to build concentration camps, force them into them. If anyone wants to leave, they have to give up their biometric data. Like it's literally like fucking the city from Half-Life is their idea for the future of Gaza. Anyone who's still alive is to live in a concentration camp where they are not allowed to leave, with like floating drones scanning their faces. That is Biden-Harris's plan for Gaza. So give me a fucking break. This talk of harm reduction, they are both the same at worst. But with Trump, what you have is the potential for failure, the incompetence, the idiocy. What you have with Harris is the most shrewd geopolitical operators in American history, all united under one flag. And that is what is truly dangerous for the rest of the world. And hell, another thing is that maybe if Trump was in office, all of the people who are defending Harris now would suddenly be critical. All of the Americans who previously were happy to put genocide aside and support Harris and make TikToks twerking for her, now that Trump is in power, maybe they would actually be comfortable denouncing it. Maybe they'd actually be comfortable taking real action against it, rather than just saying vote. That's literally accelerationist, says this fucking dumbass. Hey, dumbass. It's not accelerationist because the idea is that it would be the same. The exact same material actions, the exact same outcomes, except with more actual resistance is not accelerationist. You do not know what accelerationism means. If what it takes American liberals to oppose genocide is the genocide being carried out in the exact same way by someone with a red flag instead of a blue one, good. I welcome that. If that's what it takes for you to do more than voting, well, time for you to do more than voting then. Trump 2024. Perfect example of that in practice is the kids in cages. Every liberal was so angry about the kids in cages. Then the kids in cages continued under Biden, and suddenly it was forgotten about. There were no more photo ops of AOC going to the border and pretending to cry. Suddenly, the kids in cages were fine because the cages were blue instead of red. The same thing will happen with Gaza. I guarantee it. If Trump wins, the same thing will happen. Suddenly, the millions of people who tell you to just shut up and vote for Harris will be telling you all about the horrors of what's happening in Gaza, and it'll be exactly the same materially. And maybe that will result in the domestic resistance against the genocide that we actually need to happen.